Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to No Capes, the show where we talk about creator owned comics with creators who own comics. With me today is the amazing Frankie White, author of Broken Bear, 20 Fists, and as you will all probably remember me talking about a lot last season, Project Starless Daydream, which I'm very excited for. Frankie, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a little bit about your books?
Hey everyone. So I write comics, obviously, and I really like to write comics that are character heavy, focused on character interaction and character development as opposed to plot. So you'll see that a lot in Broken Bear. That's the main emphasis. In 20 Fists, it's the main emphasis. In Project Starless Daydream, that's the main emphasis.
Oh,
Into some ridiculous scenario. High fantasy, street fist fights, giant mech space battles.
yeah, no, that's I mean, they're not that different. Sh- Street fistfights could lead to giant mech space battles.
Well, yeah, I guess they all got it. Well, I mean, yeah, the mechs are fighting with their fists at times, so really, it's just one
Yeah,
giant Metal Man leap.
exactly. It's just an evolution from one to the other. I personally have a physical copy of Broken Bear, and it's one of my favorites, and I'm going to show it to you. Because if you tuned into last season, you've probably already seen this like 10, 20 times anyway. But yeah, Broken Bear is the first book of Frankie's that I read before we really started becoming friends. I'd read the digital version, and then I was lucky enough to get this from Frankie before he sold out. I highly recommend going and reading it. It is on Comixology. I just remembered that I have a chat command for it. Let me just see if it still works. There it is. Bam. There you go. Head on over and grab your copy of Broken Bear now. It's a
Thank
really
you.
great intro into Frankie's work. Is 20 Fists on Comixology?
No, so 20 Fists, we did the Kickstarter run for the black and white issues, and those all sold out. But it's releasing via Source Point Press, so it'll be in comic shops in April. April 28th is when it comes out, so pre-order now if you want it. Source Point Press prints based on their pre-order amounts, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't pre-order it and you want it and you go their day of, it might be sold out and it might be hard to get it. So pre-order now.
Alright, you heard it, folks. I'm really keen for that. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna see if I can convince some of my locals to pre-order that. I know I tapped in King's Comics, I believe it
Yeah.
was.
hmm I
Uh,
sent them a PDF, so hopefully they like it. Fingers crossed.
I think they will. Like they stock a lot of really good indie stuff when I see them at the conventions. So I think your stuff is going to be right up their alley.
Oh, awesome. I love comic shops that support indie stuff. Always have a place in my heart.
Yeah, they're like the biggest comics. I think they're a distributor, not just a retailer in Australia. So they've always got this massive store full of comics and memorabilia at every Comic Con. But they stock lots of like Image and Dark Horse and all of that, not just big two superhero books.
hmm
Chances are, if I've picked up a graphic novel, I've picked it up from there because
Nice.
they're down in Sydney, but they come up here for the conventions every year. So, so today, if you haven't read it already, folks, quick warning: I can't give you an exact ETA, but maybe like 10 minutes in, there's probably going to be spoilers. So
This is the nature of this.
yeah, if you haven't read this book yet, go and read it now on Comixology. uh, I was a bit of a numpty this morning and did not grab the Comixology link for this comic to share to you, so just give me 1 second and I'll grab that. Season 2, out of the gate, yeah!
We're ready. We're prepared for this.
I
I
mean,
was actually dusting up on this right before this. It had been like a couple months since I read this last.
Yeah,
So
it wasn't too long since I read the most recent episodes, so I think I'm pretty good. I really like this book, so here is a link for anyone that wants to go and read it in the chat. What did I just do? That is not what I was supposed to just do. Let's get that off the screen right now. Season 2 off to a strong start. Alright, let's try that again. There we go. Alright, link is in the chat, people. That is a link to the overall series. We're looking through issue 1 today, but you can pick up all of the volumes on Comixology. Yeah, so it's written by Greg Pak, who does really good mech books. They're always good. Like, Greg Pak's books are generally really good, but his mech books I've been really enjoying lately. Of course, Triona on colors hooks me every time. And I think this is the first book with Takeshi's artwork that I have actually read. I think.
Yeah, I saw this after Miss Marvel was the first time I saw his artwork, which was like a perfect transition.
Oh, actually, yeah, no, I think I've read that Ms. Marvel run, and I think I'd read this first. But now that you mention it, like the artwork is ringing a bell in my mind.
Yeah, I think he was the first one. He came in. I think he was the second artist to come on to Miss Marvel. His art on that is so good. It's fantastic, as it is in Mech Cadet.
Yeah, I love these mech designs. They're really simple, but so nice. You know, like they're not ridiculously intricate like some of the Gundam series gets.
Yes, yeah, it's a throwback, right, to earlier mech shows. And stuff like that. And honestly, it's one of those things where I'm sort of surprised, and that these haven't come out as like toys.
Yeah, no, I would
models or something.
I would love to have a figure of this one on my shelf. There's a few in there that I would love, but I love this guy.
The main four, I love all four of them. Like if you could get a model set with all four, and then I don't know.
All right, so who
you could pose them
exactly? Oh, Simon Boland. Yes, that's right. Simon Boland on letters. I always enjoy books with Simon's work on them, as well. It's hard. It's hard for me to find one of these indie books lately that I don't immediately like everybody's work.
The talent in just all of comics in general, but indie comics especially, is just through the roof. It just seems like everybody's bringing their A game.
Right? Like, really... friggin' last week, the week before, when Ryan bloody teased a new season of Dear Editor?
So excited for that.
Now, if any comics publishers are watching, you need to contact Ryan and pick up Dear Editor, because I missed out on physical copies of that. He doesn't have any left. And if you pick up season 2, then we might get a reprinting, and I want that.
Just threatening enough.
Yeah, I try to ride that line between sultry and threatening. Yeah, Ryan is another good buddy of mine who writes really good comics, and Frankee and I both love quite a few of his books, actually. The Lost Episode of No Capes. The Lost Pilot was actually Frankee and I talking about She at the Tower of All That Is Known, which is here somewhere as well. Do you have your copy handy, Frankee?
Yeah, it's somewhere. There you are.
Right next to... Yeah, there you go.
Cut out. We talked like probably for 5 minutes.
Just about that, yeah. Yeah, that cover is amazing.
So good.
Another really good book, and I would love to sit down in another time and talk about that again with you, especially now that I've got the format for the show down pat, and I've learned so much over the last season, so we can actually give that book some press.
We went on. We talked longer about the book than it took me to read the book.
Yeah,
it's high praise. I feel like.
No, exactly. Like it was such a quick read, but it was so enjoyable. I think I've read it 3-4 times now.
It was like that the tweet, that was all over Twitter the other day, where the one critic was like, "Critics put in more
Oh.
work than the artist." That was us talking about She. We could talk.
Yeah, we talked for so long about that. Quick hello to Charlie Galnichelle in the chat. I am good, and Frankie is also doing really good because Frankie has so many amazing things on the horizon right now. Nichelle's actually one of my friends from high school.
Oh, nice.
Is an artist herself, so that's really nice to see you in the chat this morning for the season premiere, which has had minor hiccups, but we're doing well. So let's get into the actual art of the book. I haven't seen the variant covers that are mentioned here in the inside cover. There's an homage variant cover by Juan Doe with Dylan Todd, and I'm going to assume that that's probably a Gundam style sort of cover.
I wonder if you have, is it this one?
Oh shoot!
I have a different volume set.
I love that. No, I've just got issue 1 on Comixology up on the screen, and it mentions those covers. But that
I have volume 1.
Yeah, that was straight up a nice Neon Genesis homage there.
That one, and then they have like a nice Astro Boy. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, cool.
That's not, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've got the that classic blue cover. I'm getting I haven't watched the show, but I've seen the mech designs. I'm getting big Mazinger Z vibes from the shape of this mech. No, this one was published by Boom Studios.
The standard cover.
Yeah, that one. Yep. Yeah, so Mech Cadet U is published by Boom Studios Comics, which I'd say in terms of indie comics, Boom is probably one of the big 3 in indies.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, they're huge. They have so many properties. They work with so many. Whereas Image mostly does their own creator-owned stuff. Boom has so many licensing deals, right? Their Power Rangers comics are just massive. They're all over.
Yeah, between Boom and IDW, I've been spoiled for Power Rangers for ages. I don't watch any of the Power Rangers shows, but the last 5 years of comics have 100% had me hooked.
Yeah, it's really, really, really.
Yeah,
really
I loved Power Rangers when I was a kid, but as I got older, I just couldn't abide the cheesiness of the shows. So I never really got into the whole Super Sentai TV thing. But these comics had me in, and I haven't missed one for years now.
It might be time to reassess the cheese, right? And
maybe
give it a shot again.
Maybe. I do want to pick up the Power Rangers game on Switch.
Whoa, I didn't know they were getting a game. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a game on the Switch.
Check.
It's sort of, from what I remember seeing, it's sort of just like a Mortal Kombat-esque beat-em-up type thing.
Nice.
You pick your couple of teams of Rangers and you just go through scenario to scenario and fight.
Oh, perfect. That's all it needs to be.
Right? I'm just waiting for it to come on sale because I can't justify spending $60 on a Power Rangers beat-em-up.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But Heroes of the Grid looks real good. The tabletop game. They actually made a tabletop board game based off that run of the comics. Shattered Grid and stuff.
Than it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how they're everywhere.
Yeah, they really are. And the current Transformers comics are aces as well. The last 10 years of Transformers has been phenomenal.
Is that IDW's doing those, right?
Yes, from day one of IDW, I have who had it before that?
I don't know.
DreamWorks. Dreamwave. Dreamwave Comics had Transformers before IDW, and their comics were really good. But as soon as IDW got their hands on it, they gave me Autobot Megatron. Which is not a thing I knew I needed until I got it. and I'm already eyeballing Autobot Megatron on Afterpay on a website online because it's the only place in Australia that stocks it.
Shit.
Like, I can barely bring myself to spend $40 on a figure, but for Autobot Megatron, I will Afterpay the 80 something bucks.
You gotta splurge.
Because it's like a Gundam kit rather than just a boxed figure. It's
I love building.
I will link you after the show. It's so good.
There's a new Gunpla Kit that just dropped. Like it didn't drop. It's on pre-order. I just saw it, and it's one of those things where I have to sit there and go, Frank, you don't need to buy a $180 model kit because A, you don't have space for it, but B, it's just $180. That's a lot of money. But I don't know if you've ever seen it. They got the new Gundam movie coming out called Hathaway.
Oh,
it's based
no.
on a novel that Tomino wrote back in the day. And so it's like the two main Gundams from that. And it's like a set, so you can set them up.
Very cool. I still don't have any Gundams since you got me onto the show last year.
That's where you go. The Gunplas for Gundams, you can get some that are like super cheap. They're like $10 in the model kit.
Yeah, oh no, I was surprised. There were some really cheap model kits. Like, there are some crazy expensive ones here. But there were some surprisingly cheap ones, like $15-20 here. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, maybe one of them. But, I want a Zeta, so.
Oh, yeah.
Zeta is
you
one
of... get one of those like perfect grade Zetas where they're like $200 and will take you like 7 months to build. They have parts that are like this tiny.
Yeah. I think the main two I want is like the modern figure of the classic 77 Gundam. I can't remember what the model number is on that. And the Zeta. I think those are the two I want models of the most.
Those ones are sweet. Those are some of my favorite designs. The RX-78, the classic.
That's the one.
Amuro's Gundam is like one of my favorite mech designs ever. It's perfect. It's a perfect angel Gundam.
Right?
And then the Zeta is just like its angry older brother.
Yeah, exactly. For anyone in the chat, I have just linked the Autobot Megatron on Amazon that we were just talking about. It's friggin' incredible. Are you familiar with the Flame Toys line? I thought you might be because I think they do some Gundam stuff. But yeah, they're the ones that made this. It's a Furai model kit.
Oh, cool. So it's like super high quality then?
Yeah, it's real nice. Here, I just sent you a message on Twitter. Getting away from the comic, but I mean, like, you can't expect two comics nerds talking about mecha comics to not talk about mechas.
Nice.
Right? How nice is that?
That's really good. Actually, it's only $50 on Amazon.
That's US though. Like, translate that to Australian and it's a bit more. For the chat, let me be nice. Here you go. I won't be rude, and I'll show it on the screen for a second here. This is the Autobot Megatron that we're talking about. Now, if these guys were to get the license for Mech Cadet U, I think those would be some really quality figures.
Well, and that's what that's what I'm sort of surprised that nothing came out with it. I mean, Mech Cadet U is a pretty popular comic.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they kickstarted the first part of it. I don't think it went straight to Boom.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh no.
It never got made.
I just found Flame Toys on Twitter.
Now you're gonna be bothering them. Send me Autobot Megatron for free, please. I'll make a video.
I just saw the Optimus Prime that they have as their cover photo, man.
Is it good?
It's incredible. He's got like the friggin' Energon sword, and like it looks like a combination of an Energon axe and the hammer of Solus Prime.
Mega weapon.
I'm literally being a bit naughty while we're on the air, and I am tweeting both Flame Toys and Greg Pak.
Do this. Make one of. Let me find a good picture that I can share on the screen. This bad boy.
Hang on, let me take a look-see here. Yes, that one is so good.
Give it the pre-battle damage and everything. Oh, such a good design.
Yeah, no, yep. I would love all of them. I would love just blank white figures as well. Because
that you could paint yourself.
Yeah, I'm getting really into my mini painting at the moment. Fucking like, let's see if it'll focus.
Ooh.
I did this for my birthday last week or the week before. And I can tell you right now, the mini painter's urge when every time I look at my Transformers figures.
Well, that's what's been like so good, like the Gunpla community, right? You get those kits, but then you can paint over them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, it's got really good customization aspects to it, which is really nice.
That's the only reason that I would consider getting the model kit versions of the Transformers figures, but I just can't justify that money.
Yeah, and then also too, you gotta like mess around with it first to get a feel for how you want to paint them and stuff. So it's like you gotta buy cheap ones to just kind of like fuck around with, basically.
No, that's exactly it. All right, so
to get back to the comic.
Yes. We must digress. I wasn't expecting to get so sidetracked by mechas, but it is a really exciting topic. Honestly, I always knew I was kind of into them, but I didn't realize I was this into them.
Isn't that's how it always happens, right? It's just, it kind of creeps in, and then suddenly you find yourself surrounded by boxes of them, and you're like, how'd this happen?
No, well, that's exactly it. I bought 2 Transformers for my birthday. Happened because I got a gift card from the family. I was like, yeah, okay, that I could justify buying some Transformers with that. Mm-hmm. And then we're walking through, and I'm like, ooh, Starscream. I'm like, hey, hun, do you mind if I get this? Next thing you know, Robin's bought me Starscream and Snapdragon as a belated birthday present. And then I'm in the shops yesterday, and I see all of the Cyberverse toys and stuff are still there. They haven't sold out or anything. Just before Christmas, all of the Kingdom and Earthrise and everything lines pretty much sold out. They restocked the Starscream and Snapdragon. That were the last 2 in the shop. I went back in yesterday. Last 2 in the shop. Hot Rod 86, Optimus Primal. But that's it. 1 of each. And those are the only 2 of the good ones left in the shop. Like, nah. That's like $90 right there, because they're like $45.
But someday.
Yes, someday. Someday, hopefully, I'll have some of these.
It's good to get a dream.
Alright, so Mech Cadet U. The basic story of this is that, there's been an alien invasion at some point. The Shard, are they called, if I remember rightly?
The Shard.
Yeah. And then at some point, these mecha just started turning up. And
mysteriously.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's so great about it, right? It starts literally, and it's because it's derived from a short comic that Greg Pak wrote, they did before this. But like, it literally starts with, we don't know where they're from or why they come.
Yes.
50 years ago today, the first recorded Robo-Mech from outer space descended upon an Arizona mountain range. Like, amazing. A perfect start.
Yeah, I can hear the Gundam style voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect setup narration where there's not even any kind of world building right away. A lot of comics will take the time to set it up, they'll do something. This just like, nope, right away. Here's exactly what's going on, but we're not going to explain it to you. We're just going to tell you that this is what happened, and we're going to go.
No, exactly. And like, I love the art in this, and I remember this being one of my favorite fucking sayings last season, but it's still true to this day. The economy of line in Takeshi's work. You know, like, there's no lines where they don't need to be. And he also knows exactly where to put them.
Yep. For example, you look at this top panel.
Yes.
Punching the shard.
Yep.
It's like perfectly done with just enough motion lines right at the tip of the wrist and the fist to give it that motion, like it's the front of the arm that's swinging.
Right.
More so than the back. It's really, really good stuff.
And that, you know, like, it's not half-tone, but, like, the screen grading effect that they've put over... Why am I looking down here at the comic when I have it on the screen up here? I did that on purpose so that I wouldn't be looking away from the camera. Yeah, they've done that really nice sort of TV screen effect there.
Oh, yeah, for that panel.
Yeah. And then you look at the faces in the bottom panel. Like, there's not a lot of detail in those faces, but each one is visually distinct. Because he knows where to put the lines. And his, again, same thing that I keep getting jealous of everyone of, knowing where to put the black work. Those black blocks in Yu's hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That's good.
I really struggle with that. And I'm always impressed by people who know exactly where to put those solid bits and to give it so much life. Like, that doesn't look dull, it doesn't look subdued, it looks nice and fresh and lustrous and shiny.
Right. It doesn't look flat like you think it might if you're just going to drop, a heavy black in there. But there's just enough, and that's in the color work too, right?
Yeah.
There's just enough.
Yeah, like Tree was the perfect choice for coloring for this book. Like, her work on Crowded was phenomenal. And again, on this, stoked as well. Tree's going to be on the show at some point this year.
Nice. That's awesome.
So that's the entire Crowded crew that I have got to hang out with by the time that happens. They're some of my favorite creators in comics right now, and Crowded is one of my top books of 2020. So if you haven't read it, go check it out.
I was gonna say that's enough praise for me to go check it out.
Oh, dude, it's so. Have you read any of it?
Nope.
Do you know the premise?
It's one of those books that's you have those books that are like kind of like right next to you the entire time. Like I hear people talking about it constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, the final volume is coming out this year. They've been working on it for a little while. Instead of doing the last arc in single issues, they're doing it as a single volume.
As a what?
As like one volume.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I feel like that's kind of the future of comics.
Yes, I agree completely.
Is moving away from monthly and embracing the trade paperback or the European format.
Yep.
I really think graphic novellas are going to be popping up a lot more in the next year or two.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want to do with the Network Man, which I've talked to you about. I don't know when that's going to happen because I need to learn a bit about Kickstarter and taxes in Australia. And also I need to write the origin story.
I also need to make it, but
yeah, like I've done the treatment. I think I sent you the treatment for that at some point. Oh no, I sent you the treatment for Snuffles. I haven't written the treatment for this yet.
Oh, and then you sent me the
concept, I think.
Concept art for the Network Man.
Yeah.
And also the base idea for your first short for it, which was really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same sort of 15-minute treatment that I did for Snuffles for my story for that. And I'm in the process of doing the little world building document so I can give that to the other writers that want to be involved in the anthology and go, here's the sandbox.
Go play.
Yeah. That's it. Like, I don't mind what anybody writes. Just, here is the rules of this universe. Write something cool.
That was kind of my approach with Starless Daydream for the most part. Like, if they didn't have like a heavy script, it was sort of like, here's kind of what I'm thinking. Here's the designs.
Yeah, no, I really liked working on that. Just having those couple of concept art pieces that you gave me to work from. And that was really fun. It was a really cool challenge doing some stuff that I haven't done before. And then obviously that inspired me to go on and do that pinup, which was completely different to stuff that I'd done before as well. And then that's, again, helping me get The Man Who Found the Future finished.
Mhm.
And so if I hadn't done that page for you, I don't think I'd have the confidence that I have in what I'm doing right now with page 2 and 3 of The Man Who Found the Future.
It's only a matter of time, man, before you are doing way, way more comics.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, my goal first half of this year is to finish off a bunch of my major gaming projects and get them off the slate, so that at the end of the year I can just dive into my comics.
Well, right, like, and if you're saying, you know, that your page for Starless Daydream was like your first like comics page, right? That
Yeah.
you were happy with, that you were willing to share. That's like a tremendous starting point.
Yeah, that dead set. That was the
Wait.
first sequential page I had done since I was 17.
That's good shit.
I've mostly been doing like pin-ups and game design art since then. But I'd been itching and itching and itching to get back to that, which was why I started writing Snuffles. And then I was like, I don't know how to draw a fucking dog. Why did I write this?
Big barrier of entry to my own project.
Yeah, so Snuffles went on the shelf for a little while I could do some practice work. But anyway, back to this comic.
Something I noticed while I was looking through it this time, and I didn't notice this last time, and I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the introduction for both the lead and his robot is like the same exact kind of panel setup. So I'm just going to share this on my screen. So like this is the first time you like see him, right?
Yep.
You know, on that panel. And it's this nice shot where he's kind of hiding behind those seats, and you think he's part of the action, and then you find out the next page that he's not. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But the next time you see, or the first time you see the giant robot that chooses him, it's a very similar long panel.
Oh, yeah.
The robot
Just
behind
peeking up there.
a line, essentially, and it's peeking over. You know, kind of like they're both like looking at a world that they are not a part of. Yet. Yeah. But it's very cool.
That is cool.
And I imagine it's intentional, but if it's not, it's just a great coincidence.
Yeah. I love this first introduction to Park as well. Like, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read it yet. This panel immediately sets up the fact that she is like the boss's daughter. With that shitty attitude that she has.
Such a piece of shit when the comic starts. It's so well written. You immediately are just like, oh, I don't like you.
Right? It's like you don't know who she is right now, but like rereading this now, immediately that makes sense. Oh yeah, of course you're the daughter of the guy in charge. You're the kid of the guy in charge. You know, like doesn't matter son or daughter. That attitude is the attitude of someone who has come from power.
That entitled attitude. It really is a perfect setup for that character, where you start with one opinion. My opinion, when I first read, I don't want to see you around, and then as the comic progresses, you know, you come to actually like really, really care about that character. And
yeah, she really grew on me as things went on.
Perfect kind of like Vegeta template.
Yeah.
Compared to Dragon Ball Z, right? You start off like with a complete asshole character that becomes, you know, a hero.
Yeah, I would put her more in the Piccolo category. Because Vegeta's still kind of a dick the entire time.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah, even today.
Yeah, whereas, you know, Park and Piccolo both did the full face turn.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas Vegeta is like reluctantly a face, but he's still kind of an asshole.
Well, I mean, only because he thinks he's so good.
Yeah.
Vegeta's been humbled, what, like a billion times throughout Dragon Ball Z, constantly just
and he's
by every villain that comes in, basically, and he's still pompous.
Yeah, it's like, how many times do you have to get nut shot before you grow some humility?
It's literally that SpongeBob scene. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson?
Yeah, and I love here how we're setting up, you know, Stanford with the fact that he really wishes he could be a part of this world. He's to the point he's made his own mecha figure.
His own little mech toy.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I love the introduction of him and his mom. They set it up when you first see it, right? I'm trying to show stuff too, so the audience can see too. But they like set it up where he's separated from this cadet academy, and he's stuck with his mom, and they separate it in the sense that where, as a reader, you get the impression that they're like less than, but that's not the case at all as the story progresses, and I love that they did that.
There we go. It is. I just remembered that I did this really cool thing for this season where I have set up alternate screens that actually show close-ups. So this, I'll get the hang of this more as the season progresses, but shout out to Jordan Rasco for that tip. Jordan actually really helped me fine-tune the look for this season when I was trying to work it out. And yeah, she suggested that I have a couple of extra scenes where the screen would show a close-up of like the top, the middle, and the bottom of the frame. And so yeah, right now we just have our caption box up on the screen and a close-up of that panel where Stanford and his mum are there. And the first scene where Park is being rude to him. Yeah, it really does. And here we go. Yeah, so you won't be able to see it from where you are, Frankie, because I don't think you've got the stream up on your screen. But now we're zoomed in on the panel where she's like, "There's ceremonies for cadets." Yeah. Right? Yeah. And also, I've got it on the close-up of the bottom three panels again now. Like, you can see the smarmy look on her face. And just shout out to Takeshi for, like, the way he draws fluids. Like, the energy drink spilling out of that can. And the nice little, like, energy. Yeah, just like, I love those little touches, like, there's no motion lines on the can, but that little white and orange swipe gives everything that it needs.
Manga energy to it. It's sort of like a nice mesh of like
It is
Western and manga.
Yeah.
And that's like that little energy dash thing is like something that you just don't see very often in like Western comics. There's not
Right.
not a lot of energy lines,
No.
or like just lines in general. Like you even see like on that panel with the can, there's the energy mark, and then underneath it there's all the little tiny lines at the bottom of the panel that
Yes.
indicate, and that's just a lot. We don't really see that a lot in Western comics. It's a lot of like almost static kind of posing and stuff.
I've noticed that, and that's something I like about Crowded as well. Is while drawing a very Western style, Ted and Ro are also like they're very into their manga and stuff, and it's very influenced like that. So there is a lot of those sort of screen toning and action lines and that sort of thing, and like I noticed sort of unintentionally, because I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and Evangelion and all of that. It took me years, and I'm still working on it, to erase all the super heavy anime influences in my work, because I started...
Erase? Why would you do that?
Well, see, I want my own style of comic art. I don't want to look like Marvel Comics,
Hmm.
but I don't want to look like Dragon Ball Z either. And because
Well,
when I was first starting to learn how to draw, I was learning by observing those shows and drawing those characters.
hmm.
I learned a lot of bad habits for someone who wants to draw in a more Western comic style. Because I was
Hmm.
reading those comics, but I was watching those cartoons. So my
Yeah.
faces, my bodies and hands and all that sort of stuff have always been very Western style. My faces have always been very anime until 15 years ago when I really started concentrating on trying to work those habits out. Um, and it was kind of a weird mix that didn't really like it. It looked fine, but I felt like it didn't really mesh. Um,
Well, and I mean that like kind. I feel like what you're talking about with your art, you can see that. And I hate to bring it back up again, but your page in Starless Daydream, I feel like you can see that sort of like meshing of Western and anime influence on that page. There's a lot of like heavy line work. There's a lot of energy, like the hand swipe.
yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Those parts I love. I'm glad that I've kept that stuff, but it wasn't until I moved from that page, and I feel like the still sort of anime aspects of the facial work
Mhm.
worked well for that piece. But then the next piece, I received my Mike Hawthorne book between
Mhm.
doing your page and drawing that pinup, and I feel like that unlocked what I was looking for.
Mhm.
Because like
Oh, genius.
what I did with the faces and stuff on that piece felt like what I've been searching for.
Hmm. And that piece is also amazing. And it doesn't surprise me that a book by Mike Hawthorne would unlock something. That dude is amazing.
Right?
His work is
Yeah, when you
incredible.
talk about economy of line, Mike Hawthorne is someone I immediately think of. Have you watched him draw with ink?
Yeah. Like I've seen some of his like Instagram
Yeah,
like just short video, and it's like in like 1 second, like a 15-second video, or he's like, I'm just sketching, and it's it's
yeah,
like
but
what?
or he just straight up has a brush pen. He doesn't do an undersketch or anything, and he just puts down like
Yeah.
one black line, and then next thing you know, there's an entire figure and face. But he draws the
Hmm.
outline and then fills in the details in the middle with no sketching, no nothing, because he's just so practiced and has studied
So
anatomy so much, he knows where those lines need to go. And I was just like, holy crap.
it's looking at a master, right, of their craft
Yeah,
basically, and seeing, if I were an artist and I will do shitty little sketches that have like very little talent in them, seeing like where I'm at to like where he's at, it's just like the amount of work, right? You see the amount of work you have to put into it. It's not something that you can just
right?
do.
Yeah, like he's been doing this for a long time.
Hmm.
And also, just quietly, that hair.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, Robin is jealous of his hair too. They get mad every time I show them a video of Mike, and he's just like shaking that hair.
There was one video he posted recently where he like was pulling stuff like out of like from behind his hair. Like, I was like, it's like not fair.
Yeah,
And yet all this talent and this beautiful hair.
right?
Some people get everything.
So I've skipped forward a few panels now, so we can start looking at some of the action and stuff in the book.
Hmm.
I've skipped forward to the scene where the other two mechs first turn up,
Okay.
the big green one and the red one.
Hmm. That it's not technically a splash, but that splash,
Yeah, that's what I've got up on the screen now.
so good. I mean, just that first. I mean, that's the first time you get to see these like mech designs. Besides the very brief shot
Yeah,
of was it Tanaka's mech. This is the first time you get to see, and
hang on. There we go. Nope, go on again. Okay, repeat what you just said. I lost you for a second.
I wish I could see the Twitch stream.
You should get the
they,
Twitch app on your phone.
I should wait. I do have it. Hold on. What I like about these mech designs, and I'm going to go back to it again, right, and why they should be model kits, is they're so smooth, right?
Yeah, they are.
When I think of mech designs, my mind immediately goes to Gundam because that's what I was raised with, and Gundam are square, right? They're all squares and rectangles and sharp edges, and very few Gundams are round. And when they are round, they almost stick out like a sore thumb. And
Yeah.
so it's really nice to see these like rounded, you know, smooth mechs that are more akin to like a man in a suit, right? When you
Yeah.
talk about like Sentai or the old school, Ultraman, stuff like that. It's like guys in suits, and I really appreciate that because in modern day mech storytelling, that's not very common.
No. Yeah, most of the modern day stuff is like lots of harsh angles, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Harsh
why I
angles.
loved the enemy mech in the space fight in Starless Daydream. I've forgotten the name of it right now.
Oh, the high stall.
Yes.
Yeah, that one is totally influenced by my love of Zone of the Enders, which also those are a little more angular, but they're also like this
Yeah.
very.
I remember you telling me about that, and you showed me some pictures, but as soon as I saw it, I got huge, like, Neon Genesis vibes, but smoothed out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as creepy as Neon Genesis. Those make me so uncomfortable.
Oh. So I shouldn't pull the Unit 1 out from beside me and wave it around?
Oh, that I love that show, and I love all those designs, but everything about it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yep. And that was what, like, their designs are very distinct. Like, one of my friends ages ago made me watch that bloody... What is it called? Gurren Lagann.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Not a huge fan of the show, but I like some of the mech designs. And especially when we get to meet that Spiral King or whatever he is, and we see his black mech for the first time with the tail and stuff. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, no, this is the guys that did Evangelion. Yeah, I can tell now.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, those Evangelion designs are ridiculous, and then obviously all the designs for I'm blanking on their names. They're essentially angels.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, they were the angels.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But I like that they almost have a biblical design element to them.
yeah,
What
and
like
there
a
was,
biblical angel might look like.
yeah,
Horrifying,
exactly, and there were so many biblical references through the show.
crushingly powerful.
Oh yeah, that's right. And yeah, we first find it's Buddy, isn't it? He nicknames the blue robot.
His name, yeah, for his mech, yeah, buddy. Which
Yeah, and
is
we
great.
first see Buddy has crashed off in the distance.
It's just right from the beginning, right? The whole series has a very playful sense of self, right?
It does.
which which I really like. Like when he meets, like if you compare it to other mech series, like Evangelion or Gundam, right? When they meet the mechs, usually the mechs are seen as sort of like these like mega structures that are like
Yep.
impossible to fathom, and like the hero protagonist is always just like, oh, like when they see
Yeah.
it for the first time, like they can't comprehend it. And in this, the first time you see it, he's like, beep, and then he gives him his freaking headpiece back, and he just plops it back in. It's just all very
Yeah.
fun and friendly, and just like when you see it, like, oh, okay, I like him. He's cute.
Right? Yeah, and I love that design. Like, honestly, and this is something I'm going to have to Google to make sure. I'm also surprised that we haven't seen cosplayers.
Yeah.
Because, like, looking at this one, looking at Buddy, that armor would not be difficult to make and wear. Like, that is a design that would fit a normal human body.
This posing, right?
Yeah.
This panel, that's a human body, right? Like
Right?
that's a guy in a giant rubber suit. Like that's
No, exactly. Like, that's something that I could have built back in the day out of foam.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there
Yeah,
are
it
any
really
out
is
there.
sort of surprising. And I mean, again, I felt like this book was pretty popular, and I know a lot of people, at least the people I hear talk about it with like passion and fervor.
Yeah.
And they love it.
No, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter really excited about it. And I love this big splash of them just flying.
Oh yes, yeah. That splash is amazing. I mean, again, and it just speaks to like again the playfulness and the joy that the series is mostly about. And Greg smartly puts in heavier themes, but I think at the end of the day, they say it's an all ages book, but I think this is primarily the draw would be for kids, right?
Yeah.
It's meant for like young kids who are getting into mechs for the first time, or maybe they saw Pacific Rim, something
Yep.
like that, or they're into Power Rangers, stuff like that, where they can get into it in the comic space. And I mean, it's the only book that
Yeah.
I know in the Western market that's like it. There's no other like kids friendly mech book.
I know what you mean. And I just looked it up, and no results for Mech Cadet U cosplay.
That's just shocking to me.
Yeah. Like,
Because not only
even...
like even the human costumes
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
are good.
Yep. Even, like, Sanford or even the cadet uniforms. So easy.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I would love to see some people actually build these armors. Even these ones that aren't
Yeah.
the alien mechs. They're twins, so they've got to be human-made.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the Skycorp ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones are nice.
I mean, maybe they're
Really,
not, but they look like they probably would be human-made because they're so uniform.
yeah, and I think I don't know if they actually explicitly say that, but I'm pretty sure they're human made. As we find out later, there's some, humans can't mind their own business, basically.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me that they're human made.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's right. And this is where Skip turns up for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And
shit.
yeah, just
So
smashes those two mechs out of, and then that scene where his mech's face is all in darkness.
amazing long panel.
Yeah, I love
Right
that.
after he throws him, and then he's got the barrel of the gun on his arm.
Yeah,
Staring down.
I love that,
panel.
and I want to have that on the wall here now that I'm looking at it. I'm like, just that panel.
Right, like that's a poster, and
Yeah.
that's how I think when you look at a lot of anime and manga, this is the first view of most of the mechs, right?
Yeah.
It's intimidation, right? It's like this thing's gonna mess me up.
Right? Big Megatron vibes there too.
Yes. If you didn't know, well, I guess you don't know at this point, but if you didn't know he was going to be a good guy, you'd be like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah, especially if you hadn't paid attention at the start to the design of his mech in that video, then yeah, you wouldn't know who he is here.
Yeah, it's just really, I mean, really good pacing and really good just character design for
Yeah.
this sequence.
I love his mech's design as well. There are some strong RX-78 vibes here.
Right. So
Hang on.
this old original design is angular, right?
Yeah.
So it's still human-like. It's still a little rounded, but like there's so many more sharp lines on it, even in the head and like these,
Yeah.
arm pieces and everything like that. So it's almost like they worked it in reverse.
Yeah.
Right? Where like, Gundam might have been influenced by the older 50s and 60s mech generation where everything was more rounded, and this time he was like, no, the first one is going to be more like a Gundam. All the new ones are going to be softer.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like,
think that's
yeah, well,
interesting.
since they keep coming in waves, you could posit that, maybe this one sent message back to its fellows about what the people are like here, and subsequently they started changing their appearance more
That's a good idea.
to be less scary over time.
More friendly.
They're still formidable as heck.
Right. Yeah, they can still kick butt. That's for sure. Well, and I think it's sort of interesting too because you have the main three mechs, right, that come from space, and they're very rounded in design, and they are very almost friendly looking. I don't want to say childlike, but childlike in like a toy-ish design, right?
Yeah, I know what
And
you
then
mean.
you have Tanaka's design, which is a little more rugged. It seems a little more grown up, right? It's an adult's mech,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And then you have Hero Force One, right? Which
Yes.
is the overkill design that, of
Right?
course, it had to exist.
Yeah, of course. Of course, the humans made that big scary thing. But
It's all about intimidation. The sharp lines are so over the top. It's
yeah,
like pointy to a fault in its design, which is so good. Like
and it's very Neon Genesis. I think there's
yes.
supposed to be like nods to all of the different eras and like sort of archetypes that have come out of mecha
Mhm.
anime over the years. Like this is, you know, what's Skip Tanaka's mech called again?
I don't know.
I've forgotten, but this the yellow mech here
Yeah.
is very much a nod to Gundam and similar ones of that era. You know, it's got those Gundam shin guards. It's got the RX-78 style groin plate.
hmm It's got the shields on the
Yeah,
shoulders and everything. Yeah.
I really like, but I like how clean it is. Like it is rugged. It looks like it was built for battle, but it's not big, scary, intimidating, and it's not, you know, black and red or purple, and
Right.
it's still
It's
bright and
clearly a
colorful.
descendant or an ancestor to these new mechs, right? There's
Yeah,
a clear lineage in design
exactly.
from Tanaka's mech to the new mechs that are arriving.
Yeah, I really dig it, and I want to have it on my shelf.
Yeah, again, yeah, I hope your tweet gets traction.
Me too.
They should have these as models so I can buy them.
Yeah. The
And I would
big
buy
green
all of
one
them.
is pretty neat too. Like, it's not my favorite, but it is fun to look at.
I like a big chunky mech,
Yeah.
and it's a big chunk.
Yeah, and then you get Hero Force 1, which is very much, you know, Unit
That up on
1,
the screen yet?
um, the Psycho. Yeah, I've got it up on the screen.
That is ridiculous. I
Yeah.
remember reading this for the first time and getting to this page and flipping it and then like losing my shit
Yeah.
because it's so over the top and so foreign in design from the space mechs,
Right?
which are perfect that humanity would design this fucking monstrous looking thing. Like it's designed to look intimidating. It's the exact
Yeah.
opposite of these alien mechs that are like, we want to be your friend and help you.
Right? And, like, you can see flaws in its design already immediately as well. Like, compared to these mechs which are sentient and have kind of made themselves, there's friggin' cables sticking out and
hmm
dangling all over the place. So, you know, like, those are probably important.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, it you can see that it's like the core underneath its shielding, right? All the
Yeah.
jagged shielding looks similar to like the space mechs,
Yep.
like Buddy and everything like that. It's got the wire cabling underneath, but they clearly were just like once they got to the exterior design, they were
Right?
like, make it angrier.
Yeah. It's kind of like the love child of Unit 1 in the Psycho Gundam.
Yes, yes, actually, that's exactly it. Psycho Gundam, so good. I love Psycho Gundam and 4.
Yeah, I sort of hit a stall on my Gundam watching last year because, you know, everything picked up and I just had to switch to playing music while I worked because I had to grind hard and didn't have time to really watch anything. But I was up to Gundam Seed. No, Gundam Seed, Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing, I think. With the
With like Hero and
yeah, the Zodiac themed ones.
that's the one with Gundam Wing and Tall Geese.
That's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wing was I think the first Gundam series I ever saw as like a wee babe,
Oh yeah.
and
Funnily enough,
I watched it recently. It's kind of nonsense, but
it
it's still
is
fun.
it is a bit nonsense. I'm finding that the story isn't as cohesive, coherent, and engaging as previous series. But
Mm,
the mech designs are pretty fun, but most of the pilots are giving me the shits.
yeah, no, I feel the same way. When I was a kid, I liked it all. As a kid, you're like, this is just cool. I don't care what's going on. And watching it recently, I'm a big UC Gundam fan.
Yeah,
Not
I
like that.
really enjoyed those seasons. I'm glad you recommended those first.
there is a consistent timeline that shows like an overarching, world storyline, which is
Yeah.
cool. And then the side ones, like Gundam Wing or Iron Blooded Orphans, which is really good too. Um, they don't hit as hard for me because it's like you only get 2 seasons max,
Yeah.
of that, and so they don't have enough time to world build
Yeah.
as say like the UC timeline has had, because they've had literally since '78
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
it all.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
going to be starting on Robotech soon, I think.
That's one I haven't gotten into. I had a game back in the day on the GameCube that I used to play all the time, and that's my Robotech knowledge is
So
one video game.
I've been reading the current series of comics.
The Titan's publishing those?
I think
Is that
so. And they were pretty good. I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying this story. I'll give it a shot. But I haven't watched it yet. I kind of wish that I had a couple more issues of this in my Comixology so that I could show it on the screen now, because we've reached the end of issue 1. But I don't think I do have issue 2.
So I don't know if they do this in the Comixology version, right? But in volume 1 of the trade paperback, they have at the very back, past all of the like variant covers, which are all awesome, they have the original 8-page short that
cool.
it was based on, and it was called Los Lobos.
Oh, that's cool. I love that design.
Yeah, and that is way more closer to like an Ultraman, like
Yeah.
school 70s
See,
design.
I've got issue 1, but not volume 1. So I'll probably
It's
pick.
really cool to see.
I might pick up volume 1 on payday so that I can read that short.
It is. I mean, it's only 8 pages, and obviously, it's basically like the first issue. Here's their original Hero Force 1.
Oh yeah,
which
I see.
Is way more almost hulking. It looks bigger.
Oh, so yeah. See, when I just looked up Mech Cadet U cosplay, I saw a picture and it was that. I was like, that's not what Hero Force 1 looks like. And so that makes sense now.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see just like the evolution of design, right? So like a lot of the panels are kind of similar, right? So here's like them all flying off, right? But the designs are different. Like, see this red one? It's more Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Than it is, what they ended up being. Which I'm glad that they did make those changes. But it's cool to see like as a process.
Yeah.
Seeing this 8-page short become a first issue, and a lot of the beats are the same. It's just like they fleshed it out.
So is the black and red angular Hero Force 1 in that short, is that the one that's got the little star-shaped shields on its forearm? Or is that just from something later in this series that I'm forgetting about?
No, this one it's like red. It's red in the middle and red on its eyes instead of what is it, like yellow, I believe.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what mecha I'm looking at then. There's one here when I look up Mech Cadet U, and it's like obviously supposed to be sort of black, but it's like a grey armor with red bands, red forearm armor, and it's got like these star-shaped shields and pointy knuckles.
I don't know which one that would be.
Me neither. I have no idea. I don't remember seeing it in the comic, but
yeah, I can say I don't either. It's definitely not something that appears in the first volume. That's for sure. Maybe it shows up way later, or it's a fan design. Or...
Yeah, here you go.
Huh. Well, that's definitely Miyazawa's art.
Yeah, you see what I mean? I can't remember that.
Oh. I don't know what that is. Oh. It's way later on.
Oh, that's the Mega one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Mega one, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what it looked like. I thought it looked more like the original one, just bigger. But yeah, you're right.
It's the Mega one where they used the souls of previous...
Yeah, that was fucked up.
It's a really dark part later on in the story, but it's really good. I like that volume quite a bit.
Yeah, no, the whole thing was great, but yeah, that whole little bit of an arc was really disturbing. I'm like, nah, man, you couldn't find another power source. You couldn't find any other power source.
It's not as diabolical. You gotta make it evil,
Right?
Right. I mean, it's a later on, like it is with any ongoing storyline, right?
Yeah.
Every boss or villain has to be more evil, more brutal than the last one. Like that's just the way it works, right?
Yeah.
You can't have one be less because then it's not as exciting. It has to constantly ramp up into a giant robot that's made up of hundreds of robots who suffered and died. It's powered by them.
Yep. I mean, why couldn't they have just researched and developed some kind of combiner tech?
Why'd they have to build one at all? Why'd they have to, why'd they got to be selfish? But, that's a dumb question, I guess.
Right? Because, I mean, like, they built treads for that other lady's mech when it lost its legs.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So
the engineer.
Right? So why couldn't they just build upgrade equipment for their army of mechs?
No, it's easier to have one.
Yeah. One super powerful mech that could be destroyed at any given moment.
Yeah.
Instead of an army of mechs with amazing upgrades.
Yeah, but then you got to worry about everyone having free will and everyone doing their own thing, right? If you have one mega mech that's powered by hundreds of dead mechs that you stole their power cores from, literally powered by grief and anguish. That's the American military system that Greg Pak is going for. I mean, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be brutal and powerful.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I hope we get to talk about that volume someday.
Yeah, no, I would love to come back and talk about further in stuff that I can demo. I always sort of show the first issue because usually, unfortunately I don't think so today, but usually the first issue of the comics that I end up doing on the show is free on Comixology at the time.
Oh, that's nice.
But I think it's only $2 at the moment anyway.
That's pretty good. I've noticed that, I don't know if it's like a Comixology wide thing or if like just a lot of publishers are doing it, but I've noticed that a lot of #1 comics are only $1.99, which is like a really good deal.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. And like all the single issues of Mech Cadet U right now are $1.99.
Oh wow! Oh, that's really well. Then everyone should be hopping on this.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, for $2, grab it issue 1. If you like it, then grab the rest of the volumes because it's like $7.49 for volume 1, $11.49 for volume 2, and $8.49 for volume 3.
Why is volume 2 more?
I think it's bigger. I think the middle volume was a bit bigger than the first and third volume.
Just a tad. This is the second.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So it's just a little bit bigger, so it's a tiny bit more expensive.
Interesting. I mean, it looks about the size of volume 1, but volume 1 has got to be cheaper to get people in, so.
Yeah. And like they're all on various sales at the moment too. Like volume 3 is actually the same price as volume 2, but it's on sale right now. So like full price, they're both $11.99.
I don't understand why. Then why is volume 3 on sale? Why is 2 not on sale? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, 2 is on sale for 50 cents off.
Whoa, wow, so generous of them.
But yeah, no, I loved that about Comixology is that there's often either a free or very cheap first issue.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that is $2 right now, first issue, that is really worth your time if you haven't read it already, Frankie, is Homesick Pilots.
I just downloaded that. I downloaded that and the second one because Haunted Ghost House Mech
Yeah,
sounds right up my alley. Like when I
right.
first saw that art, and I was just like, "Yep, all right, I'm
Yeah,
in."
yeah. No, as soon as I saw the first preview page of that, of the house turning into a wooden mecha, like a
Yeah,
ghost mech, I was like, fucking sold.
yeah. It really didn't take much after that.
And it's good. It's really good. I've read both issues and I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
Um,
Yeah, I actually am gonna read. I was reading the first issue of it's a new book called The Eighth Immortal last night, which I really really liked, and that's
oh,
only
I
9.
saw that recently. I haven't read it yet, but I saw it.
It's like
Um,
brand new, just dropped on Wednesday.
cool.
It's a great first issue.
That's
For
right. I've been waiting for it to drop, so I'll go check it out. I
It's a
saw.
really cool fantasy type gods
Yeah,
storyline.
that looks cool. Have you read 40 Seconds yet?
I don't even think I've heard of that.
I just started reading it. It's pretty new. Follows this kid who has superpowers, but he only gets them for 40 seconds.
Oh, that's a good premise.
Is that the one? Hang on, wait. No, that might be a different one I'm thinking of. No, yeah, sorry. This is a different one again. Haven't read much of it yet. Sorry, there is another one, and I can't remember what it's called. That is that. The kid only gets, like, a couple of minutes of superpowers. So he has to be
That's
really freaking careful about how he uses them.
that's really good.
Oh, yeah, no, this one is about a team of explorers traveling through friggin' like random alien portals. And
All right, I'm
yeah,
in.
they're being hunted by something and they just have to keep gate jumping to get away from it.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit of a black science vibe with that.
Yeah, bit of black science, a bit of sliders.
That sounds cool. And that's called 40 Seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that new? I hadn't even heard
It's,
of that.
yeah, I think there's only 4 issues out. It started
Okay.
very recently.
That sounds right up my alley. I
Yeah,
love sci-fi.
yeah, there's a bunch
I'm
of
an
cool
easy
shit.
sell. I really am.
But speaking of homesick pilots, though, Dan is coming on the show this season.
Oh,
Yeah, I spoke to him last year. Like last year, towards the end of the year, I just like, all right, here are like 20 people that are my goal guests.
hmm.
I'm gonna shoot my shot, and I'm gonna shoot my
Oh,
shot now, so that over the holidays I can start scheduling and have everything sorted in advance. So
that's smart.
I'm gonna get all my yeses now. And so then all I have to do is go, here's the schedule. Do you want this date? Do you want this date? Instead
Hmm.
of trying to go, hey, would you like to be on my show? No? Oh, shit. Okay. Hey, would you like to be on my show?
Well, the reason you get such great yeah.
Hang
I
on. I
mean,
lost you for a second.
can you hear me?
I heard the reason you get.
The reason you get such great guests is because the format of the show is really good. Very informal. It's not people talking about themselves for the most part, which I feel like, at least for me, I'm not super comfortable doing. Right? You get a little like, like you
Exactly.
talk about something you love, which as you know, nerds, we all are deeply in love with things that we want to talk about forever, and it just depends on who's listening. So,
Exactly. And that's the thing. And then that's been the general feedback from everyone is like, oh, it's been such a relief that, they get a chance to talk about their work throughout the show because it comes up naturally.
mhm,
Um, but it's been such a relief not to have to shill myself for an hour and be
exactly.
interviewed about me, but I can just talk about this industry that I love and specifically this book that I love and give it a boost. And then chances are, whatever that person writes, I either already have or will be talking about with somebody else on the show at a later date.
Hmm. It's a perfect web.
Yeah, like episode 2, I talked about Oliver by Derek Robertson and Gary Whitta.
Hmm.
And then, like, 4 episodes later, I had Derek on the show, and we were talking about The Rocketeer.
It's so good.
The art is so timeless in that book. Like,
Hmm.
it looks like it could have been drawn today. You get a lot of books from around that time period in the super sort of genre, and they look like they're from that time period.
Yes.
You can look at any of those superhero books and go, that's from the 70s, that's from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this looks like it's set in a time period, but it could have been drawn yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Good design.
Yep, that's exactly it. You have another interview coming up today, don't you?
I do. I have another interview in 15 minutes.
That's what I was about to say. Let's plug that so you can go get yourself ready for that.
I'm going to be on Source Point Press's show called Get to the Point, which will be funny because I usually ramble on, so I'm going to have to try my best to not do that. With Kat Bauman, who's my co-creator on 25th, we're going to be talking about 25th. I assume we haven't gotten any kind of questions or prep material, so we'll see what we talk about. I might end up talking about other things, but yeah, we're going to be talking about 25th. Spreading the good word, the gospel.
And where is that happening?
It's on Twitch, on Source Point Press's Twitch channel.
All right, let me just find that, and I'll link it in the chat. Because Source Point Press. Let me find them. I cannot find them. I'll just go to their Twitter and see if I can find a direct link.
I think they said it was on their Twitch. I saw them post about it. I know they also do it on Facebook too, so if you follow them on Facebook, you'll see it there as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, it should be a fun time. I'm excited.
Yeah,
actually,
it should be.
It's fun. We're going to be talking with Kat, and I have never talked with her in person, right? Because we just communicate over email and Twitter and stuff. So this will be like the first time I'm actually talking to her in person.
Oh, dude, it was like that for me with Liz and Fel when they came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen pictures of either of them. So, like, when they logged on to do the show, I was like, oh, so that's who you are.
You're a real person. You're not just an avatar.
Well, I will find a link to that interview, and I will link it on my social medias for anyone watching, so that you can watch Frankee, because I can't find where it is right now in order to drop it in the chat. So I'll put it on my Twitter in a little bit for you.
Thank you.
But yeah, we officially managed to talk about the comic for an hour and random mecha toys for 30 minutes. So thank you very much for a really fun first episode of the new season. It's been really great to have you back on the show and actually have an episode that I didn't have to take down because we couldn't hear anything.
Oh, such a sad thing that we lost that episode.
But you know, according to everything here on my end, audio is coming through, so we should be all good.
If we lose this one, I'm never coming on.
Well, here's hoping, because all the settings are the same as every other episode I've done, so it should be all good.
Should be good. All right.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your time, Frankee. Again, I'm just going to go exclamation mark BB in the chat. Go buy Broken Bear if you're watching. And stay tuned for more updates about 25th and Project Starless Daydream and some other spooky shit that Frankie's planning this year.
Oh, yeah. Excited for shit.
And come back in like 15 minutes and I will be back online working on The Man Who Found the Future.
Ooh, I can't wait to see more from that.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good luck with today's interview. Say hello to everyone and have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.